1:55 on the 30th of the 4th 2019. Blimey, we're that far into April. This is what's known as the sound barriers, folks. This is Preston New Road, Lancashire, UK, for those who don't know. This is them removing the sound barriers. Now, we've done drone footage, we've done drone flights over the last week or so, and the compound, as we like to call it, is empty. So the cupboard's bare. So they're now removing the sound barriers. They've removed all the flooring. There's been no sort of rumblings of we're starting on well 2, 3 and 4 like months ago. They haven't fracked since October the 2nd, and when they did frack, they caused rumbles in the jungles. So 52 earthquakes later, this sees them moaning and groaning, throwing the toys out the pram regarding the traffic light system. Ineos have almost near enough declared themselves out of the game, but I believe that when I see it. So this is Preston New Road, folks. As we stand, nearly 2 o'clock right now, I am in the protest pen. Which, this is to get the best view. The crane's gone in this morning. There's quite a few happy faces around, but we don't want to jump to conclusions. But it's not looking like they're going to frack, is it? So I'm going to go over and I'm going to have a quick scout around and do a little report. I'll speak to you guys soon.
This magic moment, so different and so new, was like any other, until I kiss you, and then it happened. It took me by surprise. I knew that you felt it too, by the look in your eyes, sweeter than wine.
Fracking has no social license, and that's very true, folks. It never has had a social license. All the way back to Bolcombe in 2012, this thing hasn't ever had anything that is remotely a social license. The communities in every area don't want this thing, and it's always been the same since right back as far as 2012. Now, it's 2:05 on the 30th of the 4th 2019, and we can see I'm just outside the gates of Preston New Road, the compound, as I like to call it. I'm just going over some of the ground, some of the pictures on the fences. The ribbons have stayed there a little bit longer this time. There's the High Court injunction. Notice of High Court order dated 11th of July 2018. That's when the corporations that be try to get money or give money in order to take away humans' rights over that of the corporations. There was a case in America, basically an oil and gas industry. An oil and gas industry was trying to get one of their lawyers to claim that it should be 50-50. 50% human rights, 50% corporate rights. Needless to say, the judge in America didn't have that at all and threw it out. And this is Blackpool, folks. This is where frack investments go to die. It would seem that way. At the moment, we've got the site in the background, as you can see. Let me go in a bit closer, because I'm not filming in the greatest of sense, to be fair. I'm all over the place, but a big crane arrived this morning to take down the sound barriers. Now, the sound barriers are in place. Well, it does what it says on the tin, really. Sound barriers, what do you think? It cuts out the sound. This enormous sound, this enormous din, that's not only, I mean, yeah, so it cuts out the sound for us, but it doesn't cut out the sound for any of the wildlife. I mean, if you have a dog or a cat, now you know what their hearing's like. Their hearing's like supersonic. They always know that somebody's coming well before they get to the gate or the door. The dog or the cat knows they're there. Now, animals' hearing's just super sensitive, and I mean, you could imagine the cows in that field or the wildlife nearby. You can imagine that sound at night and the light pollution alone. Let alone, that's before you even go into the destruction of the ground beneath our feet. So we see this morning on the 30th of the 4th, 2019, that the crane's starting to pull down the sound barrier. We've done drone flights at Maple Intermedia over the last couple of weeks. The cupboard's bare. Mrs. Hubbard's not there. There's nobody there on that site. They're taking the floor up, they're taking the sound barriers up, the equipment's gone back. Now surely they're not in that much trouble. Financially, are they? You bet your life they are. Now, Francis Egan's been moaning and groaning for like the last sort of 6 to 8 months since they stopped, since they weren't able to frack. They haven't fracked since the 2nd of October. In that time, when they did frack, in that short space of time, there was 52 tremors. 52 tremors, and you've heard the industry talk about tremors. You've heard the industry liken it to melons falling on the floors, a lorry going over a hump in the street. I mean, back in 2013, that's what Lilly, can you remember, was it Peter Lilly, the Conservative, on Channel 4 News, lying through his teeth to Vanessa Vine regarding the tremors, etc., and the incidents of fracking not affecting anyone ever, and they've done 200 wells. Can you remember that? If not, have a look, it's on YouTube. But they've lied from start to finish with this thing. It's the greatest Ponzi scheme going. I mean, we've seen smaller companies buy out land. We've seen smaller companies get their hands on the pedal licenses, fold, and then give them to the bigger companies, the bigger boys. So I'm never too sure before they're actually gone out of town. I'm never too sure until they're finally gone. Until I can see the back of them trucks, then I know they've gone. But this doesn't look too good if you're a fracker or if you're a shareholder. Now I wonder what Cuadrilla are telling the shareholders at the moment. I haven't looked it up, but I know they've been lying for the last 6 months. Been saying that they're ready to frack, they're ready to drill wells 2, 3, 4, you name it. But this doesn't look like anybody's ready. Now, I spoke to a few of the locals here, and they said that they determine on the mood of security and the mood of the police when, you know, they gauge the mood of security by how quickly they remove the ribbons from the gates. Now, as you can see, these ribbons haven't moved anywhere. So it almost looks like they know they're on the way as well. Their mood's changed. The cops are going through the motions. Now, I wouldn't like to be a cop at the best of times, right? I know their job's not easy. But to be honest, they've come here, they've enabled this shit once more in another community, a community which they took an oath to protect and serve, a community which basically they should be keeping people safe in. But instead there's been untold amount of arrests. I mean, you're looking at over 100 arrests easy since this thing started. Now this thing's over 2 years old in this area alone. That's not to mention at other areas that have been going on at this, whilst Preston New Road's been here. The other areas that are into this thing, I mean, as far as you can go, you've got Tinker Lane in Nottinghamshire, you've got Misson, you've got West Newton, which is a live camp, by the way, at the moment. And if anybody can give any support to West Newton, they could really do with the support up there, folks. They're a live camp, they're a monitoring camp at the moment, and they're doing a great job in keeping tabs on what's going on, what's going in and out. And West Newton has a bit of a history with the explosion and the accident last time around. So you can imagine that people are a little bit concerned when they see them wagons and stuff rolling back into West Newton. Let's go in for a closer look here. I'm going to put this up here. So there we have it. That's one worker. That's one worker that's registered as being seen on site at the moment. As I say, it's the 30th of April. There's not many on there. Security are nowhere to be seen at the moment. Their attitude tells you a lot of what's going on. That's right, mate. Give me a catalogue pose. There we go. Here's his catalogue pose. So if you're into Scruff's workwear, this man is an absolute advertisement for Scruff's Workwear Tool Station you name it, he's there. Beautiful. So I'm assuming that's part of the sound barrier. Yeah. 21 minutes past 2 on the 30th of the 4th, 2019. Fine example here for the sound barrier getting moved, getting replaced. Is Cuadrilla breaking the sound barrier? No, they're just taking it off. They're removing it because they probably can't afford it, because they know they're not going to frack. And 52 tremors later, here we are down at Preston New Road. I'm going to stay with this just to give you a little bit of proof it is actually happening. I hope all the shareholders are watching this. Incidentally, if there are any shareholders watching this, it'd be interesting to know what you've actually been told. If you want to get in touch with Maple Indie Media and give us your version of events, because we're under the impression that the shareholders get told different things to what we see. It's that old concept called lying, basically. And the only time that the oil and gas industry do that is 2 times when they lie. First they open their mouth, and second they get interviewed. How are you doing, mate? What are you doing down at the gate camp?
I'm just here officially on this auspicious day when the sound barriers seem to be coming down. So I started off with number 1. And then I logged number 2, and then now I'm up to number 25, I think. And it looks as though they're going to go the whole way and take down all the sound barriers.
So 25 sections of the
25 sections so far, yeah. And have been removed, and it's got 1 side left to go. So, and they've got, what is it now? Well, 20 to 3. They've got time. 5 minutes a barrier it seems to be taking. So, yeah, on average, yeah. They did stop for lunch for 3/4 of an hour, but you know, fair enough. They got 1 side down. And yeah, I think it'll all be gone. And they seem to be stacking them in about 5 or 6, maybe 7 separate piles now. So I guess that could go onto a flatbed if that's the intention, or maybe they'll just erect it again in an interesting sort of geometric shape. Maybe they're lost for things to do. Let's see if we can make an octagon out of this or something.
That board that they're making sort of shapes over?
I think it could be, yeah. I think we'll see a decahedron or something, and then let's see if we can do a hexagon, or yeah, who knows.
I've just spoke to somebody who's given some information from a local councillor that said that they don't need to remove the sound barriers for wells 3 and 4. So the reason they're taking the sound barriers, a lot of people are pretty much saying that they're on the way.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've only been here a day or so, and I'd like to be really euphoric about it, but you know, and I think via Nottingham, but I think. Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to go whoopee in case it's not, you know, and then you're deflated again. But there just seems to be a lot of hope in the air that this is the final. We're quitting, and you know they'll just go quietly with their drill pipes between the sound barrier between their legs. Yeah. So who knows, you know? But yeah.
I mean. 2 years, over 2 years.
It's been a heck of a long time, yeah.
It's a victory if they are going.
What a victory for communities. Absolutely. And for these, you know, the women here who've manned this little station day in, day out for 2 years, logging everything. It's phenomenal. You know, the hippies have won again.
They're amazing, aren't
they? I think. Let's not get too. And I'm just sort of breezing through, really, so it's not for me to go.
You don't breeze through anywhere. I know you, and you don't breeze through. You come through and you make an entrance, and you go with an entrance. You don't go.
And I do go, yeah. Well, thank you, but I mean, I'm not long term like the folks here have been. So I just really hope this is the end for everyone's sake here.
I think it's the end of Preston New Road.
Yeah.
Well, if they go on to something else like acidisation or something like that, what they call it.
Yeah.
I think it's the end for Cuadrilla, and I thought that a few months ago when Francis Egans started throwing his toys out the pram over the traffic light system, and the same with Ineos just recently. The murmurs that they're
yeah.
So it's all
Yeah. You wonder what iGas will be thinking of all this, you know, because I understand they've just drilled, and they're looking at the geology as to whether to frack or something. I don't know if have they gone horizontally? I don't know, but they must be thinking, well, if they can't frack, surely we can't either. We've got the same traffic light system in place. I don't know, but And are they not being overtaken by events now that, you know, the world is really woken up to the dangers of climate change, and fracking and gas have got no place in the path we have to follow?
Fossil
Fuels, leave them in the ground, yeah. So I just wonder if all the actions of local communities, the delays that have been caused, have really paid off, you know, because we've slowed them down so much.
It's got to have had a knock-on effect.
Let's hope so, yeah.
Thanks for speaking to me, mate.
Okay, you're welcome. I think I've got to log another panel now.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Go to it, mate. You're doing a sterling job. I wanna be Bobby's girl. I wanna be. All right. So here we see Little and Large using a radio. This is about the most that security have to do these days. We're just at 3:05 on the 30th of the 4th. The mood's pretty, the spirits are pretty high down here at Preston New Road. People are coming by, giving us a lot of hoops. The sound barriers being removed. They've got 8 sound barriers left to take. They don't like us filming them, don't like us watching them, which gives us another indication that all may not be well. Because if you've got nothing to hide, if you've got nothing to, you know, nothing's irregular around the margins, then you don't mind people watching you, would you? If you don't want people watching you, because the oil and gas industry are quite secretive, but the reason they're secretive is because they lie and hide things and cause carnage in terms of the environment, people's lives, people's histories, the areas where they rock up, that are just being sort of getting back to normal after being industrialised for lots and lots of years. These people rock up with a £250 million initiatives, the large initiatives for the councils, the large initiatives for communities. They'll come and they'll fund a community centre that will stay about 6 months, and once they've left the area, that community centre doesn't get maintained and it gets shut down. So here we are. I think we've got a works vehicle in then, Stu? You don't know? Don't they tell you? Oh, behave. Look, it's here. So that's it. That was it. That was a massive operation down at Preston New Road, 3:05 on the 30th of the 4th, 2019. You can see they're all rushed off their feet. What are you doing there?
Well, yeah, I've been quite a busy admin job today, filling in the rota. So we're pretty much done this week's, and next week's is looking good too.
Is that the rota for this gate camp? Yeah, gate
It certainly is, yeah. Keep an eye on them until they go, disappear.
I've heard it called hedge watch nowadays.
Hedge watch, well, yeah, well, it's sound barrier removal watch today.
You're doing a brilliant job. Everybody's happy up here at the moment because the sound barrier is what, 20 odd sound barriers?
Yeah, and we're thinking, you know, what they're doing, are they moving it around, are they preparing for the next stage, which hopefully is removal and not wells 3 and 4, so.
Well, I've just had information from somebody who goes to CLG meetings,
Okay.
saying that they know the information that they don't need to remove any sound barriers for 3 or 4.
Yeah, they don't necessarily have to move them. We'll see. Hopefully,
Yes.
they're going.
Nice one, thank you.
Bye then.
Softer than the summer night. Everything I want, I have. Whenever I hold you tight, this magic moment, while your lips are close to mine.